I can tell you what I think our special sauce is for how we're able to do 115 million while I can travel for 4 weeks and come back and move my office the next day. When I do go talk and teach people or sit down and people, I say, look, I only want to spend my time making money or doing something that brings me joy. And if it's not falling into one of those two categories, I need to get it off my plate.
I got to stop you because we just had our first model moment here. So you hail from Atlanta, yet you spend very little time there. Did I get it right? Did you just spend the last couple of months traveling national parks and getting into adventures?
I did take some time off. We took the majority of the month off. It was awesome.
Okay, let's start with that. So what was the genesis? Because here's the thing, like there's so few people that stop to smell the roses, let alone go travel to where the roses are. And you did both of those things, and you did it fearlessly, I think. So why take a month off?
A couple of reasons. Great question. So I've been doing this about 15 years. When I say this, I've been in sales, building a real estate team, selling real estate in Atlanta for 15 years. And that can totally sweep you away, right? That can just like pick you up and carry you. Next thing you know, 20 years later, you're like, what just happened, right? I have 2 young boys. They're young, they're 3 and 6, but they're, every time I measure them, they're another 4 inches taller. So my perspective is that life is fleeting. I mean, we have a gift, right? Relationships are a gift. My kids are a gift. So I woke up one day and realized that I needed a pattern interruption. Taking a month-long trip away from my team can be scary. And it was also just like an exercise in futility. I wanted to see what would happen if I left for 4 weeks and came back and had very little to no interaction with my team.
I'm going to stop you there. I want to ask a follow-up here. Was it? You said it can be scary.
No, it wasn't.
Why not?
I think the perception of what you're going to feel is not always the reality of what you're going to experience, right? So first of all, let me give kudos because I have the right people in place for me to be able to go away for a month and know that people understand what their role is in the organization. And we're all working towards a common mission, vision, values, that when I came back, all that was still intact. I have been working probably for the last year to kind of allow other people to step up in leadership, to kind of remove myself a little bit, not get out of the business, just allow other people to thrive. Not surprisingly, we're doing better than when I'm in the sales seat. I mean, frankly. So that was a big eye opener for me. Not a knock on the ego. In fact, it was probably a little bit more of a stroke of my ego because I realized that the people that choose to join our team and our family literally are taking ownership of it every day. So that allowed me to go away and be with my kids and my husband and travel the world.
Oh my gosh, what a gift for all of them. I'm certain that the number of people that say, when I got out of the business or when I took a month off or when I empowered others, my business actually got better. I've been hearing that my entire career here at KW. Yet there's this limiting belief, or maybe we hear it and we don't believe it because so few people take that leap of faith. Why do you think that is?
Well, I do not feel that Anna K. in town is Anna Kilinski. I think we've worked really hard to build a brand based around excellence, systems, processes, and expectations and standards. And I think once people understand kind of what they're saying yes to, and they are in alignment with those beliefs and principles of what we do as a team, it's not hard for them to show up and operate like that every day. So while I had a lot of anxiety when I first gave up buyers, for example, I found that my buyer's agent was like doing a way better job than I ever would. Like I can't sit in a car and talk to people for 3 hours. I just can't. Like I don't have that skill. I mean, I don't. Now put me in a pressure cooker situation for 10 minutes and we're good, right? So that was really good for me in a listing perspective. And then I realized that I had a higher calling to really kind of elevate the lives of the people on my team and other people in Keller Williams. And I really enjoy giving back, coaching, sharing, consulting. And so in order for me to do that, I needed to kind of get out of the sales role of taking on the listings. And so I've brought on 2 really top producing go-getters that are frankly better at this. Like it's kind of disruptive to realize that like you were so strong in everything you did for 15 years, but the moment you stop practicing, you kind of like fall out of fall out of your skill set. So that's just a reminder to practice every day if you want to kind of continue. So
right.
I remember being scared at all these points where I was giving up things, but I always found that once I gave up something that no longer served me or wasn't kind of my highest purpose, that the right people stepped in and took over and took us to the next level. Like we've never gone backwards in 15 years.
When you say no longer served me, that's become like this thing that I hear on every podcast. Everyone's like, hey, if it's not serving you, what does that mean to you?
It was not bringing me joy. And don't get me wrong, I think I think we're always selling ourselves. We're always selling something, right? So getting out of sales I'm just getting out of sales in that position. The new sales position I'm in is selling our team to talent, selling our team to business opportunities, selling our team to other agents across the country and the world. So I'm still selling. I'm just selling differently. I'm selling the idea of a better life for my people, for people that want to join our organization and the clients that I do interact with on a rare basis. I'm just selling us. So I just, I kind of, when I do go talk and teach people or sit down with people, I say, look, I only want to spend my time making money or doing something that brings me joy. And if it's not falling into one of those two categories, I need to get it off my plate.
I got to stop you because we just had our first model moment here. And I think this is less of a model for business, but more of just a model on how to make decisions. And this one's really easy, but the simplicity is the genius. I'm going to spend my time on things that either make me money or brings me joy. And anything else is going to end up on someone else's plate. Am I hearing it right?
100%. And by the way, what doesn't bring me joy may bring somebody else so much joy. Yes. So you just need to find those people, right? You got to put the right people in the spot to do the things.
Okay, so this is a choose your own adventure. I believe in limited democracy. So now you get to make the choice. I'm just going to pose what's on the ballot.
Okay.
We are on the quest to find some really cool hacks, some really cool models. So we can either we can go through what you learned being away for 30 days and what the model is for anyone that wants to leave their business for 4 weeks and not come back to a steaming train wreck. Or we can go into any single lead generation lever that you have, and you can help us better understand what's working and how to do it.
I like both of those. I mean, here's the problem that you're always...
It's your realtor thing. I'll take all... You can't vote for
all
both.
Of them. No, I'm not going to vote for both, but let me tell you, and hopefully this makes the cut. I don't know. When people ask me such a basic question, because this is a basic question, right? Lead generation lever, or like, how'd you do 4 weeks of vacation?
Or you can just tell us how you did $115 million and say, like, something is happening there that's just like ridiculously good.
I mean, I can explain how all of those things come together, right? Like if you're going to say, like, tell me your best mover and how you execute it, like, that's why I told you I don't go deep, but I can tell you the broad everything. I can tell you what I think are special sauces for how we're able to do 115 million while I can travel for 4 weeks and come back and move my office the next day and then leave again for a wealth mastermind and come back. I am in a place right now where I have set super clear boundaries for, again, the things that bring me joy and the things that make me money. And I found that I don't necessarily need to be here for the team to make money because we've put things in place. And a lot of that comes from, and I think I said this early on, a standard of excellence, right? So I think our team has adopted the mindset, the belief, and the actions that we are only going to do things with excellence. Excellence in the little things, excellence in the big things.
What does excellence mean?
Excellence means that there's checking the box, there's performing a function, and then there's creating an experience. So for us, I think, and you have poured into us so much, and my colleagues across the nation have poured into us so much. So I'm not doing anything new or exciting. I'll be the first one to say that. But I think what we're really good at is looking out there and saying what all is available to us and what is going to work the best for us. And for what we decide is that we are a sphere-based business that thrives on experiences for our clients through the entire cycle of our lifetime with them, not just during the transaction, but between the transactions and forever, right? we have clients that literally have abandoned us. We have them marked as lost opportunities on our database that we still invite to client events, that we still call and ask them if they're coming. And they're like surprised. They're like, I'm still invited to the client event. I'm like, yeah, you're always a client of ours. And they have come back around because they have had terrible experiences in the in-between, right? So the idea is that I went on a horseback ride with my 6-year-old.
Huh.
When we were out in Wisconsin. We went to a ranch and cowboys and the American dream, right?
I've seen a horse once.
You've seen a horse once? Well, my son had never ridden a horse. He had ridden a donkey, which was kind of the same. But there was a group of people, and most of them were new horseback riders, okay?
Do you ride?
So I did, yes.
Okay. Western or English?
A Western, yeah.
Same.
Yeah. So they captured my attention at the beginning of the horseback riding experience because they could have simply have like put us on a horse and like led us through a field and dropped us back off 2 hours later. Okay. But they recognize that most of these people have either probably never been on a horse before, or were there simply because they wanted to like do something out of the ordinary. So I really loved it because the cowboys, when they were sort of sitting down to explain the process of getting on the horse, they had a standard operating procedure. They had a way that they delivered service that you could tell that every single one of their team members had bought into. They understand what happened next. They knew how to explain to people what happened next. They knew how to keep their riders safe. And they knew that having fun was the priority. Safety and fun, right? So when my son got on the horse, he like shoved his feet into the stirrups. And one of the cowboys was like, whoa, I've got something to tell you guys about. He's like, here at the ranch, we only do things 100%. And I was like, okay, I'm paying attention.
This
I like
is your
this
kind
guy.
of place.
Yeah, this is my kind of guy. We're all in.
Yeah.
He goes, we're not going to put but just our toes in there because when we fall off the horse, we want to fall all the way off the horse, 100%. And I was like, this guy gets it. Like he understands that like even in keeping people safe, like you have to explain, like you just have to go, you have to go all in. And so the whole idea of excellence is like, you are helping people anticipate and then also delightful surprises along the way. You're helping people anticipate sort of kind of keeping their fear and uncertainty at bay, but then also sprinkling in the good stuff, right?
I love that.
It's a standard of care.
I love
standard
that.
Of care.
So it starts with a standard of excellence. Then we have to have delightful surprises along the way. That makes perfect sense to me. Where do I go from there?
I think the other thing that we do really well, and I think it's part of our brand and our value proposition, is that we have to challenge the status quo.
But you know what? I want to go back for a minute. I'm going to get to challenge. I'm going to write that down. Challenge status quo. Take me back to delightful surprises. Give me some examples in the consumer experience of where that might show up, or the agent experience of where that might show up. What does that mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So
is that like when I check into the hotel and I go to my room and they always have a card for me and a bottle of champagne? And is that what that means?
It can mean that. I mean, they obviously understand your preferences, and maybe at a Ritz-Carlton you would expect that, but you might not expect that at a Hyatt.
I get it anywhere I go. I'm fairly confident that someone's calling ahead on my behalf. But I love that. Yeah.
Well, you're only high end, so
it's true. It's cashmere.
We're not going to find you at a Motel 6. But I think this, or delightful surprises, surprise and delight, like just basic example. You could go through a contract to close process. You could go under contract. You could help your client navigate through inspections like we all do. You can call them the day before closing, do a walkthrough, read the settlement statement, go to closing, move on to the next client. That's functionary, right? Like that's the process, right?
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't follow the process, you probably don't get new customers. Okay. But if you follow the process and that's all you do, and you don't sprinkle in surprise and delight, you don't sprinkle in extraordinary care and concern, if you don't have a 12-step process for how many times you're going to call your client at which milestone, and at the end of due diligence, you send them hot cookies to their house or their office, and at closing, you show up with one of your operations people who's also been serving them along the way and take a personalized video of them and post it on their social media and call them 3 days after closing to ask them how you did and how can we make things better and what's your feedback, and send them a pizza on moving day. I mean, there's all these things. Yeah, I mean, this is not new, right? I'm not creating this. But you have to find what works for you that's scalable, that also makes people feel seen and important, right?
I love that.
So are you providing a function or are you providing an experience? And I think that's where excellence shows up.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, function versus experience. You heard it here. I love that. Okay. Now challenge the status quo. Is that a similar thing? Does that mean that we're going to challenge the traditional thinking around all these things?
Yeah. I mean, challenging the status quo is just doing things differently altogether, right? Like there's what is, and there's the perception of what is. And then there's what are you going to put out into the universe? What narrative are you going to start talking about that's going to challenge what is, right? So for example, I know the market's shifting, but up until about 6-8 weeks ago, what was happening in the market?
It was insane. There was 20 offers in every house. No one could find one to buy. My buyer's agents were all worn out. I couldn't find enough listings.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. All right. I'll bring you back to COVID. When COVID first happened, what were we passing around besides a virus?
I'm going to let you fill in that blank because I go a bunch of different ways. Masks.
Panic.
I was going to say
fear.
Fear was the next thing I was going to say. Yes.
Uncertainty. We're all being passed around, right? You pick up the phone, you'd call your aunt and uncle, your friends, and everybody's panicking, right?
Yeah.
So the status quo is everybody's in this state of fear and panic, right? When there were limited listings, which by the way, in our market, we still have a lack of inventory. And if you look at data, and by the way, assumptions are not data. Data is not information. So when you are looking at like what's actually happening in the market versus like what the perspective is happening in the market, they're two very different things. So I feel like our job as professionals is to challenge what people think is. For example, if listings if inventory is low and your broker buddies are picking up the phone, they're calling you and be like, there's nothing on the market. Do you have anything coming? Like I can't find any listings on the market. Instead of us recreating and passing around that fear, panic, scarcity mindset, our job as professionals is to develop a strategy and a solution for creating inventory, period.
I love that.
What's the inverse of that, right? So if everybody's having this mob echo chamber of what's happening in the market, well, interest rates are rising. I can't afford to get in a house anymore. Well, Mr. Buyer, if interest rates are rising, that means buyer demand might be softening. Have you ever thought about maybe setting up a list of price reduced homes only, and let's go ahead and find a motivated seller to get a house where you can negotiate on price to kind of offset what you're feeling in your mortgage.
Price reduced homes only list. That's a great idea in this shifting market.
Well, people are worried about how they're going to afford getting into the game, right? I think this market has not been the market for dream homes. This is the market for getting in the game.
Yeah.
Right. And I think every day people aren't getting in the game. They're leaving wealth on the table, in my opinion. Right.
Not just your opinion, because math.
But yeah. So I think challenging the status quo is simply just like not being subject to what's happening around us. Doing the things in spite of, right? Like having the narrative that, like if sellers are feeling like they missed the boat, I didn't get my house sold in the last 3 years. It's over. Okay. Well, how about Mr. Seller? Your house just appreciated, 15 years worth of equity in 3. Let's take advantage of that while there's serious buyers in the market, because we know the people that are willing to pay more for money are serious buyers.
So good.
So for me, it's just like we can't just let the rest of the world tell us how to operate. We have to challenge it.
So at this point, I mean, you're 110 million plus in volume, and you just bought congratulations, you just bought an office building that you all are moving into. And at this point, you can buy any house you want, you can drive any car you want, you can go on any vacation you want. But yet you're still waking up and you're going this hard. Why? What's driving this continued growth? Because you could have pumped the brakes at any point here, Anna, but you're still rolling. What's the why behind all this?
I personally don't think that we ever arrive. I think that, I'm actually welcoming a challenging or changing market right now. I feel like I need purpose. I feel like all humans need purpose, right? We don't just, like I said, we don't wake up and serve a function like a chair. We're in this world to make a difference, right? And while I couldn't tell you like exactly what my big why is, I think my big why is probably freedom of choice, but that comes through the form of elevating other people around me to get them what they want so I can have what I want. That's the reality, right? Like I can't do this by myself. And by the way, if I just checked out and just didn't do anything, who would that make me? 15 years in real estate doesn't mean I've arrived at any sense of it. So for me, it's just, it's not about getting bigger or making more money. Honestly, I think early in the game, you just want to figure out like, it is a game, right? I just want to make more. I want to do more. I want to serve more. And then you kind of get to a point where there's a bigger perspective out there. And I think right now that discovery for me is actually watching the lives of the people who work with us, not only our clients, of course, which has been always, but the individuals in our organization. I had a guy, who's come to my team. I think he was living off of 24 grand a year. And I think he'll easily make upwards of 250. And he just was so excited to come over and tell me that his first investment property is cash flowing $850 a month. Like that's my life.
That's changing lives.
That's changing lives. For me, it's wealth building, right? Like it's wealth building, not because it's money, but because of what the money can do for people.
I want to talk briefly around coaching in general, because you're someone who I know ardently believes in having coaches, whether it's life or wealth or business, and I get this. But at some point, you're doing so well. Do you still need one? You run one of the largest from volume real estate teams in the United States. So do you have what do you need a coach for?
The best, ask Serena Williams why she needs a coach. Not that I'm Serena Williams, but I'm just saying, I feel like the closer you get to the top, the more coaches you need. Again, it's not about being number one or being, the most productive. I think you have different doors that you break through. Like pretend your life is like the Legend of Zelda and you're constantly finding these secret doors and you're going into these new worlds. You need new tools. I need new tools to be a leader. I need new tools to take our team to the next level. I can't just rely on everything that I already know. It's not going to get me to the next place. So for me, and by the way, I've had the same coach for probably 7 years now, but I could benefit from a different type of coach in addition to that. It's not just a one size fits all. I have different areas of my life. I have people that need to coach me on wealth building. I have people that coach me on mindset. I have mentors that I don't pay, that I pick their brains on, how would they handle this particular situation. And I think you need an arsenal of influencers that have a vested interest in your growth and development and do not ever look back.
I love that.
You cannot do this alone.
Anna, thank you for everything you're doing for Keller Williams and for everything you're doing for all
y'all
the
so welcome
around Atlanta. We're really, really, really grateful for you.
Well, y'all pour into me beyond what I deserve. So thank you.
Hey, did you enjoy that? We got a ton more of these. Click right here. You're still watching me? No. I said click here. I got a thing. Would you just click it already?